My name is Sonya, and welcome to our talk on Wi-Fi exploitation, on how passive interception can lead to active exploitation. So thank you for coming. Hopefully it can be an interactive session. At least this is what I would like to cover. It's what I hope we can accomplish in this presentation. First and foremost, I'll do some hand waving. I like to wave my hands and talk about some things. Then introductions, backgrounds, we'll talk about some knowledge that is required in order to analyze this Wi-Fi protocol, which is not much. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. Then we'll go into, actually I'll skip this deep dive, but I put slides together, so if you're reviewing the slides tomorrow or the next day, you just have some additional information that I had to learn as I was going through this talk. Then we'll talk of how do we develop the sensor, we'll do some demos. Then we'll extend our demos to go into how can you tag and track various people. Talk of some vulnerability exposures that we have, and then if we get here, we'll see if we can talk of some enhancements to come. But something that I always show on all of my slides is this live demo gremlin. And it's annoying, but I will do my best. Hopefully we'll have some good demos, but every now and then demos fail for whatever reason. I mean, it works fine at home, it worked okay in the hotel, it worked perfectly on the flight, but sometimes you start and everything crashes. So hopefully that does not happen. But if it does, just bear with me. I'll try and bring up the entire presentation as we go along. So who am I? Currently, I'm an assistant professor at the Air Force Academy, so I'm blessed to teach computer science, software development, cybersecurity, and digital forensics, and also reverse engineering to some really intelligent students that we have at the Air Force Academy. So that's an awesome, awesome experience. I love being back into academia. And before I became a professor, I was in graduate school, just school, which is fun. And before that one, that's kind of the nice job that I had, in which I was similar to the equivalent of a director of intrusion response for the entire enterprise Air Force network. So that included every single one of our computer machines that could be compromised with malware that is just looking suspicious, perhaps various flags or various signatures, through a warning or an alert. And now it's either my job to go after that system. Do we do analysis? Can we find the malware? Can we carve it out of the system and then carry on additional analysis on our side to try and remediate the system and make sure our entire enterprise is safe? So that was also a really good job, kept us on our feet, but that was fun. And at least that was my exposure and experience getting to work in network operations and also intrusion response, forensics, and reverse engineering. So before we begin, I like to talk about security as a present, because this kind of lets us have an understanding towards how we can still continue to generate vulnerabilities, or how can we still find weaknesses in a system that we thought should have been secure. So one of the things I like to say is, how far have we come? Well, our current security posture, we start with the way we can discover vulnerabilities, and then we expect, okay, as soon as I see a vulnerability has been discovered, let me go ahead and patch it. Let's go ahead and fix this. We've been doing this for the past 40 years. So we'll just continue down the line. We'll keep the course and continue steady. Another thing is malware. Once we can find the malware, we believe that with a good intrusion detection systems, good antivirus, as soon as we see the system is compromised, let's whack it. Let's put in a signature in place, and let's remediate the system. So this is our current security posture, and how do we secure our systems? But we've discovered that, okay, we've had antivirus running for all this time, years and years, and yet our systems are still becoming compromised. So then we start new technologies in which we go towards this anomaly or statistically anomaly-based intrusion detection systems, in which we say, all right, without a signature originally, hopefully I can find if a system is compromised. How can I do that? Well, I can understand the known good. Okay, so this is via your baselining. Baseline your system, and as soon as we find an anomaly, let's now detect it. No problem. All right, good. So, that's supposed to be good. However, all of these things have a flaw here or there. Now, I like this one. Digitally signed software. So this was good. Something that we saw, I think Java started introducing this maybe 4 or 5 years ago or so. And I was actually challenged openly when I was talking about how you can still, develop malware. So a really intelligent professor said, oh, that's a thing of the past. We just digitally sign our software. So if we digitally sign the software, then you can verify who actually created it. I said, oh, really? All right, challenge accepted. So I established my own company, very, very easy and cheap, and only cost $300. Get a lawyer, say, hey, I have my own company, perfect. Now you have to buy the certificates. I said, okay, who are our good, well-known certificates out there? Well, we have many. In fact, your high antivirus software companies, they also produce certificates that now you can purchase a certificate and then sign your program. I said, okay, good. But they said, but we are secure. We are secure in how we issue out certificates because we verify the companies are working and the people actually work there. I said, all right. I went onto Google. I generated a phone number. I said, okay, here's my phone number. I bought the certificate. I waited for the phone call. The phone call came from a really large antivirus company. Said, hey, are you so-and-so? I said, yes, I am. It wasn't even my name. And they said, okay, is this company actually established and running? I said, absolutely. In fact, we have over 500 employees, and we're expecting to grow and continue next year. I said, okay, great. Here are your certificates. I said, very good. I went back and produced my malware. I signed my malware, and now my malware ran even better than before. I mean, it's trusted. So, okay, well. So again, you still have your whack-a-mole in which it's your cat and mouse game. So we're trying to find the vulnerabilities. We come up with a patch, but then your attackers are sneaky. So we can continue to develop new ways to go around it. And now this is something I've come to understand with our current paradigm in security. And that's we still believe detection is the key. So as soon as we can detect the malware, then we can stop it. As soon as we know the malware author's strategies, we can thwart it or whatever. It's like, all right, no problem. Every strategy you can create, someone else has already developed ways to exploit them. So let's just be careful in how we secure our systems. And now the fallacy here, right here, is that most people believe once we start with the system, if it is brand new, a fresh install, so long as we're starting from a clean state, then I can secure the system. However, what happens when your computer's already become or already ship with malware embedded on it? Now, how good is that initial security state and how we believe in protecting our systems? Now, this one, okay, this list. So we're at a premier hacking conference, right? Yes, good. So if I were to ask a question, what is the anatomy of an attack? Just what is our normal anatomy of how do we go ahead and attack and exploit a computer machine? What would we say is step one? Reconnaissance, very good. So always do the recon, which you always must, to understand how do I search, how do I guess, investigate the adversary that I'm going after. Good, reconnaissance. Next one. Enumeration, good. Or what else would we say it is? Scanning. Right? So enumeration and scanning. Let's understand the active systems, the live systems that are out there, open ports, potential vulnerabilities. Now I can discover a way to attack, right? So after I know the systems that are there, systems that are live, operating systems, service packs, various, product IDs, et cetera, from our enumeration, what's next? What was that? Penetration. User IDs? Okay, if you want to. Okay, well, we haven't exploited the system yet. Right, so exploit the system, so let's get inside the computer. Okay, then privilege escalation. Okay, let's go ahead and escalate our privileges. Hopefully we can have admin credentials, system rights, God rights on the entire machines and network. And then after that, we might try stealth and persistence techniques or maintaining access to our computer machine. Very good, very good. So I'll give us all an A star. We passed for the day. Good, very good. So this is our normal cyber anatomy attack that everyone believes, this is the anatomy of an attack. Yes?
One thing missing, exfiltration.
Oh, actually this, for whatever reason, slice and come out. Yeah, that's actually pillage. Okay. So just steal, pillage, plunder. I like to use P's here. So yeah, that's why. All right. So let's see. Yeah, so we covered all this. Normal anatomy of a cyber attack. Good. However, I postulate that attack and that anatomy has failed many years ago because your enterprises that you truly want to go after are already secure from an adversary trying to scan your system. I have a firewall established. So how are you going to see every single system inside my network if the firewall blocks you from scanning? What was that? Other ways to get inside the computer machine, exactly. But you didn't say email earlier. All right, okay. Well, that's good. It's good you're thinking. So this is actually what I postulate is our updated anatomy of a cyber attack. So what you'll see here, we still have our normal old phase, which is around the right side. So we have our reconnaissance, yes. Scan your targets, try and penetrate. That's going to fail right there, scanning. Anywho, once you can get inside, if you can, evade detection, maintain analysis, perfect. But when I was monitoring our enterprise network, I saw that we have really good systems, we have good architecture that should stop this scanning. So there should be no way that you can continue to exploit our machines from this scanning phase. And yet, many of our computer machines still became compromised. So what happened? The actual attackers modified their techniques. So instead of trying to come here, the direct approach, they then moved towards an indirect approach, in which now you are actually staging your exploits, you're being more patient. So perhaps I'm trying to do the email attack, come in from email, which is really, really good, perfect, a form of social engineering. Or perhaps I'm trying a waterhole attack, in which I already have a vulnerable website, now I'm just waiting for you to come to my website. Go ahead and install something, or, I mean, Metasploit is perfect at this with your own browser attacks. You just go to the website, now it tries to find a way inside your computer machine. Okay, so your attackers are being more skillful, more stealthy, and more patient. This is the harder way to find whenever your computer machines are exploited. Now, security of the future. What I say the root of the problem lies in how we consider security right now. Because we say, as soon as we find it, let's go ahead and bolt on a new approach. Here's a new application, here's a new software to install, here's a new program to purchase, we will secure your system. This has failed, this will always fail. Instead, we need to move towards this way, in which we're talking about building the security from inception. Security must be built in whenever the software is installed. And now, whenever we do buy these new softwares, whatever it is, we should ask, well, how did you make sure that the system is secure? Did you do that yet? Most times, the answer is no. We will wait until we release the software, and then we'll just patch it if any vulnerabilities are found. Other things that we really have to look out for, integration of smart devices. I say that your smart devices, this is your country's greatest spy. Your greatest adversary come from the smart devices that we carry all around. In the past, if we had a country that wanted to go after somebody, let's say the country might start with R and end with Russia. So if we want to profile a person, you'll send somebody to follow them. Let's try and be close. Let's try and eavesdrop and see what you're saying. Let's go through maybe the trash, pillage around to understand something about a person. But now there's no reason to do that at all. Instead, let me just give software on your computers. Let me just give you software. Just run my software. Trust me, it's free. I've scanned it. There's no malware. I even digitally signed it. Thus, it has to be safe. And now other exploits that we're going to see is right here, Internet of Things. Are we ready for Internet of Things for tomorrow? Sorry, my Windows is saying activate Windows. No. All right, so let's move forward here. Now, as I was saying, your phone. So, a show of hands. Security experts, firewall too? Hold on, it's okay, we got this. All right, here we are. Behave. Okay. So now, if we're talking about the smartphones itself, when was the last time, just show of hands, be honest, when was the last time you installed a software or an application on your phone and you looked at the permissions you're giving to the application? Who does that? Oh, really? Over half of the room, right? Liars. Sure you do. Of course. Here's a free application, Candy Crush. Okay, so you did that for Candy Crush? Huh? Yes, you did? All right, 1. But in factuality, usually we don't look at these things, or we say, I'm sure it's okay. Most people don't. So, okay, we had majority here raise their hands. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Listened to it or did anything.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good point. So maybe you all looked at it, but perhaps no one did anything about it. All right, I like that. So let's take a look at this one that I really like to look at, that I was just so surprised. Here are 2 simple applications. Okay, the only purpose of the application is to turn on the lights of your phone. So it's called a flashlight app. I was like, all right, good. It just turns on the lights. That's it. Turn on light, turn off light. That's all. But these softwares, when I looked at the privileges, they want to have access to your phone, your memory, your microphone, the network, It wants to update itself? Wait a minute, hold on. How does the lights update itself? Oh, it might have a new patch tomorrow? That does not make sense. Why? So we need to be suspicious of what we're actually putting on our devices. Because if it was me that did this, I'll say, oh dear, someone's exposing my techniques. Because you have your phones with you all the time. You're going into a meeting, you're talking about proprietary software. How do we want to look at our systems of the future? Your phone is right next to you. In fact, other people are taking notes on the phone itself. Oh, I wonder if someone else is listening to that, just because of the simple application that you installed, like a flashlight. Now let's go to the thought question. So even if since we all raised our hand that fine, you make sure that all the applications on your computers and on your smart devices are secure, no unwanted privileges, very good, another gold star for you. Now here's our question. So we are all good and secure about protecting our computer machines and our smart devices, very good. However, when was the last time that we actually looked at, well, although I protect my computer, I protect my smart device, when was the last time that you actually wondered, is the network communication protocol that these devices are using, are these secure? And are there any vulnerabilities here? And if so, how should I secure my computer systems and my network for the future? So that kind of guides us forward. All right, now we're getting a bit closer, a bit deeper to where this research is going. So last year, and a couple of years ago, I was researching into threat intelligence and how can you create better ways and better artifacts, indicators of compromise on your computer networks and your computer system. So I was doing a defensive conference series. And then I was just sitting at the airport waiting to board my flight, and I just saw people walking by, just walking by. And then I was curious, where are all these people coming from? Without looking at the flight that shows where the flight is arriving from, that's not necessarily their original, the original place where they started their journey. So then I'm thinking, it would be cool if there is a way you can actually find out where a person has been. Then I'm wondering, okay, if we were to go down this route, how can we do so? And I said, well, just about everyone always has some electronic device with them. Your phone, your laptop, your PDA, whatever it is, and what's something that most of these devices have to do? Connect to the network. So you have network connectivity. Okay, now we're getting a little further. So now I knew that if people usually carry their phones, smart devices, laptops, across with them to these travels, is it possible that we can look at different probes or some sort of signal emanating from these devices to now begin to track a person? And thus, our hacker mantra was accomplished. I wonder what happens if. What happens if I can intercept these signals? What can we do from this point? So now the research has begun. And then, kind of to help guide the research, it's always good to have research questions that you're trying to accomplish. So these are the research questions I came up with. First, is it possible to actually intercept the P&L? So I call it the preferred network list, or not I call it, it is called the preferred network list coming off of your smart devices. Your preferred network list is a series of different SIDs, your service side identifiers, the different Wi-Fi names that you've connected to in the past. These are saved on your phone. These are saved on your laptops and every single device. So as soon as you come within the area, your phone automatically, yes, automatic, connects to the network that you had before. So I'm saying, okay, can we intercept these things, preferred network list, and now can we create profiles off of people based on the list that we've intercepted? And then can we determine their likely place of places of interest or their place of habitation? Where might they live? Where might they work? Where might they frequently visit? And then if we can also intercept the preferred network list, can we next establish rogue access points so now we can continue to do man-in-the-middle attacks? And man-in-the-middle attacks is fun. So can we do these things? Spoiler alert, yes, you can. All right, so let's see how. Now, before we begin, I like to also go into initial knowledge that is required in order to build the system and in order to build the framework. I first start out with the 802.11 frames. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, Self, is he really talking to us about 802.11? Yes, because before I got into this, it was kind of intimidating, even to me. I'm saying that the protocol itself is complicated, everything's in black and white text, I have to program a lot, so I don't know if I want to study these things. But actually, it's really simple. I would say it's a intricate but not a complicated protocol to interpret, to analyze, parse, and now you can exploit. So the first thing to understand are the authentication and deauthentication process. So in essence, I have a pictogram. So again, let's just wave my hands across this one. So management frames, this allows your phone to understand who's within the network. How do I connect to a network or an access point? And also, management frames are the types of messages that your access point releases out, saying, hey, I'm here in the area, go ahead and connect to me. Then we have control frames. This is kind of a separate way, not always implemented, in which your phone or your device, it wants to understand, is the airway free so I can send a frame? And also your access point says, yeah, go ahead and talk to me now, or stop. The network is busy, wait for a second or two until I can give you an acknowledgement message that you can continue to communicate. And then data frames. This is kind of your main payload that you're actually sending across in each packet. HTTP message, what is the payload actually being sent? Oh, I see a picture, I see text, etc. Okay, so that's just included in the data frames. Now, the client authentication process. Let's go ahead and see how that is in the slide after this. Now, one more thing before we can begin programming is how are we going to build the system? Well, first, I did not just want to create a sensor that listens, I guess, only in one spot and it can interpret frames only on its own. No, we want to go further than that. I mean, anyone can do that. We've got to raise the stakes. So instead, I decided to actually create a distributed framework that now I can place my sensors across a building or across the city. So now in different spots, I can have all of the sensors intercepting data, doing its own analysis, and then sending its information to some central repositories. So now I can stay in one area, and now I can see who's all in that area or who's in the next. Or a better way of tracking a person is if I can triangulate at which sensor they are closest to, then you know where they are. And you also know when they have left the area, if you have a distributed sensor grid. So that's kind of why I said just a little understanding of distributed computing in terms of you have different agents that talk, they send their information to somebody else, they say, okay, distributed computing. Then socket programming, this is simply a connection. Anytime you have a connection from two different machines and they need to send information to each other, that's simply called a socket. Okay, so how do I put information on the socket? How do I parse and take information off to understand what is being said? Okay, just socket programming. Now threads, multi-threaded applications. Threads are important because it allows in the same program running, I can do near simultaneous actions. So in order to establish a distributed sensor grid, you have to understand how do I have various threads that can do different tasks. So now once a task is accomplished, send me the response, and then we can continue on our way. Now, wrappers. Everyone say with me, wrappers. Wrappers. Yeah, interactive. Let's have a good time. So a wrapper is simply a separate program that wraps itself on something else. Or in essence, I want to automate another program, so I'm just writing something that says start another process, like start ping, start an ARP request, start another program. Now, anytime a response is received, parse the response, analyze the response, and now you're okay. So wrappers are important so that we can build the sensors around already created programs, so we can save us a lot of time. And also we have a well-known, well-established program to use to continue on our way. Because you will see in a few seconds that you actually already have all the tools that you need to create this distributed framework. And then if coding is not your thing, it is mine, no problem, just use the tool that's being released. Good. Deep dive into management frames, hand waving. So it's just for you to know in case you need to refer to the slides later on. Next, management frames, hand wave. Just so you have further information, because I had to learn the protocol, so this is things that I thought would be useful for you to know if you want to dive further. And control frames. Aha! This is where we come to. So earlier, when we spoke about there are different types of frames or messages that are sent. You have the authentication message, the authentication message, probe and beacon, et cetera, et cetera. So whenever you're looking at frames, the frame on its own does not say, hey, by the way, I'm an association request, or I'm a beacon request, et cetera. No. There's actually just one bit set in the entire message that we need to understand. So if we know which specific bits to look at, this is how we can then understand the actual type of message that's being sent across. Okay, so that's just why I included that in this slide. Good. So now what can we do with this information? Well, here we are understanding the client authentication process. So in essence, you have your own phone that's constantly probing for a device that is connected to in the past. This is how your P&L is being broadcasted. So constantly your phone is saying, hey, are you in the area? Are you in the area? Kind of like Marco Polo. Marco, access point, where are you? I want to connect to you. Then, whenever your access point is finally in the area or your phone is closer to it, it says, yeah, hey, by the way, I'm here. Let's go ahead and begin to authenticate. Once we complete our authentication, we can talk. I can understand what you're saying. You can understand what I'm saying, an encrypted channel. Now we can associate, and then your data payloads are being sent. But I call this kind of like your unstable marriage. Because even when your device is connected to that access point, it's still trying to see, I'm not satisfied with you. Access point. Anybody else? Are you in the area? Okay. That's actually what constantly happens, that I did not know this until I started to really look at the protocol. I'm like, well, you're already connected. Why are you looking for someone else? I thought we're like this. Like, what's happening? Okay? But it's good to know, because this is a good way of how you can profile the systems and know whenever a device is within the area. And also, this is important because this is how we collect the full list on every single device. Okay, so let's go ahead and build the sensor. Now, as I said, this is building the sensor on the cheap. It's really simple and easy to do. So all you need at the very beginning, minimum, is an Alpha card, about $30, and Kali Linux. Kali Linux is how much? Free. Okay, so here we are. We have an Alpha card, and now this Alpha card comes with a, by default, like a 5 decibel antenna, which is good. I'm like, oh, not bad, but So we've used Alpha cards in the past, yes, right? At least a lot of us are familiar with these things. Good range, but as an attacker, I was not satisfied with the 5 decibel range. So I looked online, and I said, I want to replace this with this one. So here we are. This is a 12 decibel range antenna, and this guy, I call it the BAA for the big antenna. Now, how much better is this one than this one? Well, this antenna, when I have it installed, I can tell when my neighbors come into the neighborhood from far away, streets away. I can now say, oh, they have arrived. I couldn't do it with this one. So this actually extends the range. And that's why I just included it at the bottom that, if you want to have a better range of packets I can send out and also packets I can receive, increase your antenna to have a really good range. And this is nice. My BAA, this guy works well. Now, at the university, if I were to leave this on for about a week, I can come back, and usually on average, this one can find about 16,000, more than 16,000 unique MAC addresses. Not the same, unique, different systems. We only have about 5,000 students at our university, 500 faculties. Like, wow, where else are you actually picking up? I mean, each student does not have 5 or 6 different devices, at least 2. So the range is pretty good. BAA, I'm pleased with you. I'm very pleased. The next thing we can also include is a GPS receiver. So GPS receiver, this one too is also just like $30 off of Amazon. So I like this. And what I've actually included in the framework is a separate program called the GPS collector. So GPS collector, so long as you have just a GPS device that you can plug onto your system, I will then go through the program, we are one and the same. So the program will then understand, okay, there's a GPS receiver attached, and then it will configure your machine so it can take the GPS signals, and now you can tie that towards new SIDs and also devices where it's been. So now if you want to carry out your own war driving, you already have all the techniques. Plug in a GPS, start the program, and you're done. Now you're war driving. Now you're including the information onto your sensor. Okay, now if we talk about intercepting frames, where should we begin? Well, as I said, you actually already have all of the tools that you need to establish this entire network. So I shall show you now. Let's see. Yes, demo. Okay, so here we are. Kali. Okay, good. So I had this running from before, so at least you know that something runs. All right, so I want to stop this. Let me stop this one too. Let's just go ahead and close it. Okay, so we'll just start it over. All right, so I want to start in the terminal. So I have a Alpha card plugged in, And that's it. And Kali. All right, so let's see what can we understand at this point. Desktop. Okay, so if we want to start, something I put on the slides is how can you, begin to intercept your initial frames, and then what should we do at that point? So I'm looking at the actual flags that I put together. I don't want to mistype it. And of course, I cannot find it. All right, we will do this from memory. So here we are. Alpha card is plugged in, so the first thing we want to do is I want to just look at the name that is called. So this one's called WLAN2. So the first thing we do is set your Alpha card into monitor mode, or whichever wireless card that you have. Just make sure it can go into promiscuous mode so I can now intercept various packets. So again, this is building your sensor on the cheap. Okay, so I will do ifconfig. What is that? WLAN2. WLAN2. Okay, let me turn it down. Okay, so now it should be off. Now iwconfig WLAN2 mode monitor. So now we're placing it into monitor mode so it can receive packets. Now let's go ahead and bring it back up. ifconfig WLAN2 up. I misspelled it. All right. WLAN. There we are. Hopefully it comes. Okay, so it should be off now. Now, the next program, who's ever used T-Shark? Have you ever used T-Shark before? Okay, so 3 hands. All right, no problem. Who's ever used Wireshark? Everybody's hands up. So did you know that you using Wireshark, you are actually using T-Shark? Because T-Shark is the actual packet analyzer that Wireshark is on top of. Wireshark is your GUI that understands what T-Shark is providing for you. So this means we can now build us a wrapper. Everyone say again, wrapper. Yes. So building a wrapper, you can now just understand information that's being sent from a separate program, and then you can do your own parsing. So now you can write your own tools to send that information somewhere else, which is exactly what we're going to do here. So here we are. We've sent our machines into monitor mode, or we sent our Alpha card into monitor mode, and then let's start this. So I found my sheet. T-Shark. Okay, I'm specifying the interface that we're using, so we're using WLAN2. Then I will specify different flags that we need. Now to start off with, WLAN. WLAN looks at fields, the Wi-Fi protocol, whatever is being sent across 802.11. Okay, .t fields. Now I want to say which specific flags do we want to look at? Well, we want to look at the source. Did I type that? Okay, that's the transmission address. WLAN source address. Let's do WLAN destination address. I believe it's DA. Okay. Then here we are. WLAN, and finally, management protocol. So whichever management frames that are being intercepted, go ahead and give us information about this. WLAN. Sit. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me try that again. What was that? Did I misspell something? Oh, run this under sudo? Okay. All right. Oh, where was that? Wait. This is like public math. You just don't do that. All right. Sorry, let me try this one more time and then. Come on, T-Shark. -I, WLAN2, space, -y, fc.type, -t. I should have just written this down and copy and pasted. That would have been the thing. I know, that's too easy. We're Canadian, we have to do this thorough and proper. WLAN SA -e WLAN.da -e WLAN -e MGT. Please work. Okay. Yes. Okay. So just as we said, we have all the tools already there. Again, just an Alpha card plugged in and Kali Linux. So now what we're running or what we're seeing here is whatever's being intercepted on the actual card itself, and now here's what we're seeing. So we have transmission address. What is the MAC address of the transmitting, the transmitting device? Source address, destination address, destination, so it's a probe going out to everybody. Now we're kind of understanding that here are the probe requests. Okay, we're understanding the actual bit inside each frame. And then on the right side, we see the actual name for many of these if it's included in the packet. Okay, so this is your service set identifier. So again, you've had all these tools all along. You were carrying Wireshark. You might have had an alpha card. Plug the two together, and you have your own sensor to actually go ahead and analyze the protocol. Pretty cool, huh? At least I liked it. All right. Yay. Oh, I'll take that. Okay.
I think we're all watching for our own SSID.
Oh, you are? Don't worry. Just wait. Just wait one on that, and let's see what we can do. Okay. So from that initial screen and from the initial demo, what do we have? We can actually determine from that very screen active devices that are within range, not only your actual smartphones, your devices, but the actual access points that are also saying, hey, I'm here, connect to me. Okay? Your preferred network list is being broadcasted by each active device, MAC addresses for the devices that are trying to communicate, and then your broadcast. So if we talk about hidden, other people say, oh, well, I can be more secure, just hide my this service set identifier for your access point. Go ahead and hide it. I will just wait until you need to connect to your access point. Because at that point, both of you say, hey, here's my information. So yeah, I'm glad we hid it, because that was a good security technique. And then vendor identifying information. Let's punt that one for a couple of slides from now. Now, how do we process the information? Well, we simply build wrappers around it, parse, send it to another program, visualize, and we're done. So here's kind of the construction of the actual framework. In case you want to do, I see phones out. Are you turning off your Wi-Fi? Don't cheat. Don't cheat. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. So here we are. If we have components that we want to build onto the sensor, okay, these are the minimal things that I believe you should create in having a distributed sensor network. So the first thing, separate packages. Okay, so the first one we were talking about was the GPS collector. Plug in a GPS card, start the GPS collector, and you're fine. So now you can do your own word driving, and then you can attach actual location coordinates to each frame that you're intercepting, no problem. That's simply a wrapper built across the GPS receiver. And then the next thing is the sensor. So the sensor we just built, okay, that was simply running T-Shark, and you have another program on top of that to understand what is being received. Perfect, sensor is easy. Now we have an OUI agent. So OUI, MAC addresses, we know a MAC address is 6 bytes long, right? The first 3 bytes are actual specific bytes that are reserved to the manufacturer of that actual wireless card. The next 3 bytes are specific bytes by the manufacturer to identify your unique device that you have. So this means if there is a list of known MAC addresses with your first 3 bytes, we can condense all of that information into one site, into a program, build a wrapper around it. Now we can include identifying information about which type of system is communicating on the network. This is good whenever you want to go into our exploits, okay? Because we know each exploit you write is specific to the architecture that you're exploiting. So this is one good way of understanding, oh, I have an Apple device out there, or I have a Lenovo, et cetera, et cetera. Bring in this organizationally unique identifier list. Okay, then the next, I use bad colors. How do you do blue and black? Sorry, geo. Okay, so that's our geo retrieval. So we have a separate database. Okay, so let's understand this process, because this one is kind of key towards the actual service set identifiers that we can intercept. Each system, each phone, I see more phones out. Don't cheat. We'll see what we can find. At least if one phone is on, hopefully we'll still have another good demo to come. At least there should be one. All right, so here we are. Whenever we intercept that P&L, everyone has told us from grade school there are 2 main fundamental rules that we know since we were just young kids. 1, look both ways before crossing the street. And 2, always have unique names on your access points, right? Right? I mean, that's what we were taught from grade school. Now, this actually presents itself a weakness that we can exploit. Because if you have a unique name, one and only one name, This means if I were ever to drive around in your area or someone else were to drive around in your area, do their own war driving, put that information into a database, if I ever saw somebody else with that unique service set identifier, I can now tag you to that location because you had a separate and a unique service set identifier. All right, so now we can build a separate tool that can receive all of these service set identifiers. Sorry, that says geo retrieval. Okay, so now I can have a separate database to receive all of these service set identifiers. Let me tuple the GPS location to that. Now you know where a person might have been. At least if you're going to truly connect to an access point, you have to be within some meters range. So at least a priori, without any previous knowledge, if I'm at an airport somewhere and I see you're connecting to SecTor 2016, which is what many of us are connected to now before you turned it off on your phones, no problem. If we're in another country, we can say, at least you've been in Canada. Okay, at least you've been in Toronto. So here's when you can reduce that entropy, the uncertainty of knowing where has a person been. Now, how can we extend this further? Well, we know certain people might have certain jobs that privies them to certain types of information. Now, what if I can figure out someone, this person works at Facebook, this person works at Google, this person might work for the Canadian military or different things. Now we have additional ways to target people simply by the service set identifiers that we can leave. And now how do we intercept the service set identifiers? Turn on an alpha card and listen. Your devices are constantly probing, saying, hey, device, are you out there? Are you out there? Yes?
So in a room full of this many people, how do you know who's the person?
We'll get there too. All right. Okay. Yeah, because you asked, in a room full of many people, how do we get to know each person? There are a few ways. Now, with all of this information, okay, different agents, okay, because it's like a distributed system, each agent is handling one specific function and doing it very well. We need to aggregate this information somewhere or collect the information into a central system. I call this guy collector, okay, pretty easy. Now, the collector is receiving all various bytes from these different agents, parsing it, storing it into a separate hash table, so now I can retrieve this information very easily. And then finally, interfaces. We build different interfaces so we can visualize all of the information because we're going from black text towards colorful things. So you can just run a program and see what's out on your network. Okay, so that's what the interfaces are for. All right, enough talk. Let's go into another demo. So let's introduce the actual Theia sensor that we're creating and we're releasing. Okay, so here we are. Let's go back. Let's go back to our Kali instance. Okay, this guy's finished. So let's see, what do we want to start for? Let's start the sensor. So to start the sensor, I wrote this in Java because I really love Java. And it runs on multiple platforms as long as you have the virtual machine installed. Again, I also like writing malware for Java too because I can digitally sign it. So, so here in this case, okay, just to run the program, java-jar. And now the first one is the sensor. So the tool is called Theia Sensor Suite. So just Theia Sensor. Wait, what? .jar. Theia Sensor .jar. Okay, good. Now, what I guess analysis I built into the program is, as long as you have an alpha card or a wireless card that's plugged into your machine, I will then intercept that card, find the first one there, turn it off, put it into monitor mode, and then bring it back on again. So all you have to do is just run Theia, and your system should be configured. And if not, you get an error message saying it cannot find an actual sensor. Okay, so a few things to do. Since it's a distributed sensor grid, we can just enter in just a little information to identify each actual sensor that you're running. So you know this is the sensor here at this wing of this entire, this building is huge. Now what if we have another one on the opposite side, so at least we can tell which sensor is which, providing us information. So that's why you just have 4 questions to answer. Sensor name, I'll just say SecTor, just to be quick. Physical address, you don't have to, or you can leave a blank.
701A.
Okay, 701A. Perfect, that is true. Okay, and location, I'll just say conference. In case you have a nickname like 4th floor conference, or in fact, what floor is this? 3rd? 7th? Well, it is room 7. Okay, sorry. Okay, 7th floor. Okay, and then this one is if you do not have an GPS receiver attached, you can say the actual latitude and longitude coordinates so we can map it easier, or you can just leave it blank. And we'll just leave it blank, and that's fine. Okay, now we should wait. Aha! Here we are. Now, the next thing that the sensor is doing is it's simply a wrapper on top of T-Shark with various flags, and this is the entire network. This is actually everything that's going on in our network right now. Black and white text. Aren't you comfortable? It's good. So we have the sensor that's simply receiving all information across this entire frame. And then on this side, you see there's different names like fan, Boingo, hotspot, 7th floor, so that's our sensor. Let's see. There was one I wanted to... Did anyone see SecTor 2016 yet? Right here? Yeah, a few times. Okay, on this side. So that's our different devices that are trying to connect. So as we said, it's an unstable marriage. Even when your device is connected, it's still saying, hey, I want to connect someone else. Okay? So that's how this is able to work, and it works very nicely. Now we have the sensor. So we said the next thing that is required will be, let's just do the collector. So the collector is receiving all this information, and then it's parsing it, because we have each system, each component that does its job very, very well. So if I make an update to one, I don't have to take down the entire system. That's why they're in modules. Okay, so let's start the collector. So let's get to collector. Anyone know what the collector is called? Collector, okay? We made it easy. All right, so java.jar thea _ collector. Okay, so once the collector runs, remember earlier we spoke about threads. So since we can have many sensors out there that are kind of responding based on how busy the area is, it can send a lot of frames at once. So we have multiple threads that are started, so I can actually, as fast as I can see or receive information, I can gobble it and then bring it back into an understanding mean. So that's why you get a lot of text. It's just saying, hey, I have many threads ready. I'm ready to parse all sorts of information. Now, if we want to connect the collector to the sensor, let's do so. So to do this, we say sensor _ connect. Then in fact, let me back up. If I enlarge this, if you type H for help, you have various help options that I built in with more to come. So it just gives you different flags that you can use to control the sensor. So I know hackers, you like to do things in black and white text. So for those of you, you have black and white text to type and to interact with. So let's begin. To connect the sensor, we just say sensor connect. Public math. Connect. Okay, and then the IP address of the collector, or the IP address of the sensor we're connecting to. So I know it's just on localhost. I'll just type localhost. And the port, whenever it runs, it tells you the various ports that it's listening on. So I know that the sensor should be listening on port 8080. That's usually by default. So if I say OK, it connects, good. So now what you're seeing is the collector has connected over to the sensor. And now all of that raw information that the sensor is providing, the collector is interpreting it, and it's analyzing it, and now it's kind of storing it in an easy to archive and retrieve manner. But again, this is black and white text. For those of us who like black and white text, we're comfortable here. But for those who are not, no problem. I built a separate interface for you. Okay, so if I go out, yes. Although you can just double click, but again, I like the command prompt. Open command prompt. Is it there? There we are. All right, so now we're out on the Windows side. Windows and Java, Thea interface. Oh, did I spell it wrong? Thea. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder, that's why. There we are. Okay, so let's start the interface. So the interface is your visual on the actual system. So we take a lot of data, we parse it raw, now we want to visualize that information here on a nice-to-use GUI that everyone who does not care for the black and white screen, no problem, run the interface. Then we can see what's going on the network. Okay, so here we are, interface is started. Come right here and say establish connection to the controller, or the collector controller. Right? Okay, oh, we need an IP address. IP address that we want to connect over to. Okay. Wait. Yeah. New. Okay, so we are going to, 192.168.223.131. Okay, 192.168.223.131. And then the port should be port 80. Okay, now let's wait a few seconds. So the interface, let me raise this up just for a second. Okay, so I remember something I was telling one of my students one time. I was like, I love two things as a programmer. One, blinking lights. I like things to blink. And another, I like text to scroll. And he's like, why? I said, it shows progress. At least something is happening. Okay, so that's what you're able to see. Information, and actually whatever the collector is thinking or whatever the collector has just discovered, you can see it here. So whenever we have a new system is detected, a new SID has been broadcasted and intercepted on a different frequency, you can see that text here at the bottom. So you can also analyze, has the sensor stopped, has the collector stopped, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, then it's a visual tool, so I created different charts that we can see. All right, so if I lower this guy, this one here on the right side, RSSI, this is your radio, or I typed it, received signal strength indicator. So with all things remaining equal, you can use this as a way to determine how close or far away is a particular device from the sensor. So if I have a device that's really, really low, or a device that's really close, the lower the number, the closer it is to you. Okay, the higher the number, like this -77, it's far. Like that device is not even in this room. It could be upstairs somewhere far. Okay. Now, let's look at the different tabs that we have. So we have graphs here, just different charts. We'll fill this in as we go along. Detected clients. Okay? So on this side, we are able to parse. You can't see that well. Okay. So for each device that is communicating, the collector is receiving it. We're receiving it from the sensor. We're now able to say, all right, each device that is out there, this is the information that is actually providing for us. Now, we spoke about the OUI, the organizationally unique identifier. That gives us vendor information. Now, at this point, there is no vendor, right? Can you see the iPhones or the Apple or the Samsung devices? No. All right, let's bring them in. So in order to do that, we will simply start another package or another module of our system. That one is called Theia OUI. Okay? All right. So here we are again. New. Yes. Okay. Okay. The OUI. So I have a chart already built into the system. So it's understanding the chart, analyzing the chart. Oh goodness, I only have 5 minutes left. I need to talk really quickly. Okay. Was that clear? Okay, so the OUI is established. Connect the OUI over to the collector, and now the collector is able to provide even additional information for us on the interface. So let's go to the collector. Collector, I believe this is the collector. And then we say OUI connect. Localhost, and then it tells you the port it's listening on, 8081, 8081. Good. Okay, now let's go back to the interface. So whenever new packets are now going to be received, whenever the collector wakes up and says, oh, by the way, I have a new device that's been connected to me, or a new module, this information will now start to be filled in. Vendor. It's not provided yet. Okay. All right, just wait for it. Wait. All right. It did not. So let's force it real quick. Oh, there it goes. Okay, let's go back. It took its time. Okay, now, once, this is going to take some time. I think if we were to wait a few seconds or so, we can see here. Yeah, we have just one Samsung because everyone else decided to turn off their phones. Yeah, usually what I see on most networks are a lot of iPhones, like Apple iPhones. Those are usually the ones that we detect the most. Let me go back to the sensor real quick and just say SID. Okay, what was that? Okay, cool, very good. Participants. Okay. All right, let me sort here again, graphs. Okay, if we come back, now what we're able to see here, okay, so as soon as new devices are being intercepted, we can now visualize these. Sorry, the resolution is bad, that's why it appears so small. But usually, oh good, so far 58 Apple devices are here, 36 Samsungs, etc. You can increase your resolution. Okay, so different systems that we're able to determine. So if I go to detected, how much time do I have left? 3 minutes, oh goodness, we've been having fun. Okay. All right, so what you can see now is that the sensor has started to provide that information. Now you can start to begin and see like which device do you have. different Apple devices, different Samsung, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now let's go to the right. I'm sorry, we're out of time. We had a blast. So here we are. If you double click on each one, what I want to do is there's a separate tab for requested SIDs, and also, 15. Okay, so let's see this person. 16, all right. So we have different devices around, okay, and we just put a count to the right so you know how many unique SIDs are being broadcasted. So double click. Okay, now there is a device. How far away is it? Our side, well, it's far, so it might not be someone here. Does anyone want to admit? I'm sorry? Oh, you know what? Here's an even better way, because I think a question you asked was, how do you know like each device or a different fingerprint? So this is what I would do. Whenever many of us check into the hotel, as soon as we came into the flight, or as soon as we came here to check in, what I would be is like, hey, have you connected to our hotel Wi-Fi? Do you know the hotel Wi-Fi name? No? Okay, let me go ahead and give it to you. It's called SecTor. No, let's not use SecTor because we already have a SecTor. What's a good unique name that we can say? Intercontinental. Okay, fine. Let's do intercontinental. So, have you connected to our access point yet? No? Okay, go ahead and bring out your device. Bring out your smartphone, and you just type in intercontinental. So while you're doing that, they're bringing out their phone, fumbling around. I come over here real quick. I click on the requested SIDs tab. Requested SIDs. Now I would just say star intercontinental. Did I spell it right? No? Okay, so here's one. So intercontinental. Okay, anyone else want to participate? So go ahead if you want to, real quick. Huh? 1776. Okay, is this yours? No. Okay, yeah, see, that's like just one specific device. But did you add it into your phone, intercontinental? Just go ahead and try and connect. So anyone else want to do it real quick? Hurry, we're running out of time. I'm about to be kicked off. So what we can, just go into, say, you want to manually add an access point, type in intercontinental, spell it this way because I might have misspelled it with my fat fingers. And as soon as you type that in, say you want to try and connect, it will actually start to appear. So we can see various phones and different devices, one by one. So if I'm talking to a person, I tell them this is a specific access point. Even though it doesn't exist, your phone will still try and beacon to connect to that actual specific device. So that's one way that you can fingerprint people. Another way you can do is actually have a directional antenna and point it towards a person's pocket. Just wait. Just like that. And so you can actually start to see these things pop up. Sorry, I did not bring a directional antenna with me. Did anyone else type in intercontinental like this? It should, yeah. As soon as it receives new ones, it should come up. Let me look at.
Unless we all mistyped it.
Wait, actually, the collector. What are you doing to me? Sorry, 1 second. Sensor.
Is that a space or no space?
No space. Okay, so can I have two or three more minutes? 2 minutes? Okay, I'll take 5. Okay. So one thing we want to do that I can't show, I'll do this really quickly, is there's a separate geolocation, localhost. I think that's, what is geo on? 82. Connect? No. Geo. Okay, good. So we have the separate database that's already loaded that shows different SIDs. So if we can see a new SID, we can then determine where a person has been. Okay, so I just did that. I connected to the sensor, OUI. I need to do OUI, connect, local host. This is weird. This guy is not talking as he should. He should be really chatty right now. Oh, did I type it in wrong? Well, let's just see what it has. Sorry, I'm out of time. All right, so let's close this real quick. It should be really chatty, but it's not for some reason. Okay. Geo, so this. Oh, I am disconnected. How? Okay. No. Oh, because I did disconnect the. That's true. 192.168. What was that? 223.131. I think. Okay. So hopefully, once we reconnect back to the collector, the SIDs that we have should. Ooh, Toronto, Ontario. Okay. So now we have different locations that we can specify from connecting over to the geo. Now, one thing you can click on right here is if you say map all SIDs, Okay, I wrote a separate Google interface that for each SID that you have, we can click on each one, and then, what is this? And then the various devices that have connected to it in the past will show up here. So we have a Samsung electronic device, Blackberries, etc., and you can change your views if you wanted to. You can zoom in, zoom out as you would like. Now, one other, just real quick, and then I'll be finished. I promise. I promise just one more minute. Okay, just one. Okay, so if we go back to detected clients, what I would like to do is look at these ones that have like 16, so many connections. Let's see if I can refresh this guy. If we have any geos. No, let's go to this one. Ooh, okay, this might be a candidate. At least this is one. So this is just one device out there. If you click on it here, and then say map, it went away. Sorry, which one was that? Come back. White House. Stay there. Okay, so we just click on each device, and the SIDs that we do have loaded in the database, now, if we know which specific person we're talking to, now it's Canada, I'm sorry, I did not have time to populate the database, but if I did, we would have had more systems here, because I've been in different places, so those databases are much larger, but that's at least one area that we can show. Now, if we had more devices, if I had more time to build a database, this would have been a very nice demo in which we can show different systems. But I'm sorry, I am out of time. I'm out of time. I'm sorry.